attention, the forthcoming courses that we have. In 2 weeks' time, meditation on death. That's the big one. Powerful stuff. It's the one that we've all got to attend, really. Because we live, every single one of us lives in denial of this. And once you accept it and live in accordance with it, your whole life context changes. And you get more out of life. Gets rid of confidence. Okay, meditation on death. And then 2 weeks after that, pure mind, pure will. Says what it says on the tin. You get what it says on the tin. Pure mind, pure will. You had a bit of that this morning, you didn't you? Beautiful teachings. So please come along if you can.
Just everybody please put your phone on airplane mode or turn it off if you don't mind, thank you.
So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your break and there were no difficult people. If there were, maybe you recognized, what was going on. So let's start again with the liberating prayer, and then we'll engage again in the simple breathing meditation, and then we'll look at this second session.
O Blessed One, Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you who love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind, and to nourish me with your goodness, that I in turn may nourish all beings with an unceasing banquet of delight through your compassionate intention, your blessings and virtuous deeds, and my strong wish to rely upon you. May all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled, and may holy Dhamma flourish forevermore.
So now in our meditation, we again just take a little bit of time to relax, make sure we're comfortable, and to let go of any tension. And we make sure we have a positive focus so that we can gain the most from our meditation for both ourselves and also for others. Then we gently start to bring our focus to our breath. And we try to become aware of the sensation of the breath at the edge of the nostril as the air enters and leaves. So this sensation is our object of meditation. So we're trying to let go of everything else and bring all of our awareness to this one object, the sensation of the breath at the edge of the nostrils. And we try to gently focus single-pointedly for as long as possible, just bringing our focus back each time it wanders away. Checking that we aren't becoming distracted or sleepy. We try to bring all of our focus to our object of meditation. And then we rest there on that one object. Just for the last few minutes, focusing on our object of meditation and enjoying any experience of peace or calm that arises. So then as we start to come out of our meditation, we try not to lose any experience of peace or calm that we found. Okay. So our question at the beginning was, what makes someone a difficult person? What makes someone a difficult person? So we've now started looking at, well, actually it's how we view them. Yeah. What makes someone a difficult person is that the view that we're holding of them, the perspective, you know. So this is good news, because it's something we can do something about that, can't we? We can do something about that. We can change our perspective, change our view. Yeah. And in this way let go of difficult people. Yeah. So we've been looking at patient acceptance, accepting things as they are. And in How to Solve Our Human Problems, it's really lovely. It says, if we stop seeing other people as problems, they stop being problems. I love that. It's a sentence you can just carry around with you. It's not a difficult sentence to remember, If I stop seeing other people as problems, they stop being problems. So when I first heard this, I was like, wow. But really? Really? So I thought, I'm going to test this. So I thought, well, okay, someone who I think's a problem, stop thinking of them as a problem. Are they a problem? Well, they can't be, can they? If I'm not thinking of someone as a problem, how can they be a problem? It's like, it stops, It stops. So for me, this is what's important. We've got to see it in our own experience. We've got to recognize in our own experience this is wisdom functioning in our mind. So from our perspective, we're understanding, oh, actually, it is about my mind. It's about my mind. So I can choose, So when I'm not getting what I want, when I'm having to put up with something I don't want, which is a lot, isn't it? Or is that just me? It's a lot, happens a lot, yeah? Then I have a choice, An unpleasant feeling arises because I'm not getting what I want, having to put up with what I don't want. So then I have a choice what I do with that unpleasant feeling. I can choose. I can choose to grab hold of it, dwell on unhappy thoughts, grow it into a nice, huge feeling of anger, and follow that anger through with action. I can do that if I want to. But then if we're looking inside, we think, but actually, what does that solve? Anger doesn't solve anything. Some people, it's funny, isn't it, will say, well, yeah, sometimes though. No, never. Even if outwardly it looks like, well, my anger stopped them in their tracks. It might have, but internally, what it did was created a negative potential in our mind for suffering in the future. And we can't see that, but it's definite. It's a definite result of an action. Whenever anyone gets a bit angry or irritated with us, we can start to see, oh, actually, this is because I have got angry in the past. It can help us. It's interesting. So recently I was, I can't remember what it was. Oh, resentment. I was teaching on resentment, and for some reason I decided to just Google a little bit about stories of people and anger. So what I put in Google was, I think I just put anger, something like that. What is anger? Or something like that. And everything that it came up with was absolutely not correct. So I think the first thing was, anger makes you happy. I know, it's bizarre, isn't it? Anger makes you happy. I was like, no, it doesn't. Can't. It's not possible. It's what's called a natural non-virtue. So anger doesn't even need a motivation to cause you suffering. Anger in your mind just causes you suffering. It's just painful. It's just painful. You know, you never see an angry person and think, oh, they look lovely. They don't, do they? They look horrible. It's like, scrunched up face, you know. It's not nice. We don't like being around anger. You know, we wouldn't choose, would you? What are you doing tonight? Saturday night tonight? Oh, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to stay in. You know, something happened this week. Oh, I'm going to stay in. I'm not going to put the telly on. I'm not going to be with anyone. I'm just going to think about what they did, what they said, how horrible they are, so that I can really get some really strong anger. That's what I'm going to do on my Saturday night, because that's fun. We would never do that, would we? We'd do that, as in we would spend that, but we wouldn't choose to. We wouldn't put it in our diary. This is what I'm going to do, you know. We wouldn't, because we know it's not good. Anger's not good. I feel like I just want to keep saying, anger's not good in this world. We know. We look on the news, it's like, anger's not good. All the suffering in this world coming from anger, and all the anger coming from not getting what we want, or having to put up with what we don't want, which is because of our uncontrolled desire for the fulfillment of our wishes, you know, what I want, you know. So it's, you know, sort of looking at this. So that was the first one anyway. Get back to where I was. Anger makes you happy? No, definitely doesn't make you happy, you know. And then anger solves, you know, solves your problems. No, definitely doesn't solve your problems. You know, we haven't got limited anger. You know, it's not like if you went into a room and smashed up a load of things, which you can do, apparently. It's a thing you can do to get your anger out. But if you did that, you wouldn't get to a point where you had no anger left, ever. You might get a bit exhausted in that time, but that's because you're just tired. Because you've got so angry, you've exhausted yourself, because it's exhausting anger. But it doesn't mean you'll never get angry again. We haven't got a limited amount, you know, that we just need to get out and then it's gone. It will just keep coming. The more we feed it, the more it will come. You know, like fanning a fire. If you fan a fire, it's just going to grow, you know. So we don't want it. So anyway, I'll get back to the story. So then what I did find was an article in the New York Times where they'd asked people to give them stories about what happened when they got angry and how they felt about it, And this one was great because this got to the correct, for me, it felt like what's correct. Because everything else seemed to be talking about the external, you know. But this was about the person's reaction. So this man was saying that he and his friend had gone to the cinema, the movies, in America, the movies, gone to the movies to see a film, a sequel he'd been waiting for 30 years. Don't get caught up on that. I don't know what it was. Okay? Don't know what the sequel was. Okay, so he'd been waiting for 30 years to see it though, and him and his friend went to see it. Anyway, in front of him, now don't get caught up on this as well, because don't start going, oh, I've had that happen to me. So in front of them was a group of young people who seemed to be a bit more focused on taking selfies, eating their food and chatting and stuff, okay? So he tried to put up with it. He tried to put up with it through the movie, okay? But actually what he was doing was suppressing his feelings of not getting what he wants. So it got to a point near the end of the movie where it was the big finale, you know? And another one of them, he got his phone out, started taking selfies with his friends in front of him. And this guy, he said, I lost it. So he said, I climbed over the seat, I grabbed his phone, I grabbed this young person's phone, I went really close up to him and just really shouted at him, you know, really shouted. And then I gave him his phone back and I sat back down and I didn't hear a peep from them the rest of the film, for the last part of the film. So he said, when we left the cinema, he said, I would tell people this story as sort of like a fun story. And it's like, I didn't hear anything from them for the rest of the film. And, as if it was, funny, and it was da-da-da. And he said, and then one day, the friend who'd gone to the cinema with me turned to me and said, that story is not funny. They were frightened. Those young people. It makes me, I don't know why it makes me emotional when I tell this, but he said, those young people were frightened, And he said, in that moment, he said, I just felt this strong sense of regret and realized, what did I do? I didn't want to frighten them, but he said, I recognized she was right. I'd frightened them, but my anger had made me think that I'd done the right thing and that I got the result I wanted and that it was right. But he said, actually, I realized it wasn't. It wasn't, because I frightened these young people, So it's interesting, isn't it, to think how our anger can make us think it's right. So difficult people, I'm right. They are just difficult. They're just difficult. I've got to give them a piece of my mind. They deserve to know how I feel, So it can feel correct in our mind, because this is what delusions, negative states of mind do. They make out like they're our best friends, and that, yeah, you're right, go on, do it. They really make us think that what we need to do is correct. So we really need this space in our mind and this wisdom to not be fooled by them. Not be fooled. So Genla Dekion, our general spiritual director of this tradition, she uses 2 words. I love these 2 words. For that kind of situation where our anger is telling us we're right, they're wrong, they deserve, I should get angry with them, I should slam the door, I should, whatever we do, She says these 2 words, she says, say these 2 words to yourself. Not true. Not true. You're not fooling me. Not true. To not let anger take hold of us. We think, not true. Not true. So when we're learning to practice patient acceptance, it doesn't mean that we don't do something. Okay? So nothing's been said to don't do anything. Of course we can act when if someone's behaving in a harmful way towards ourselves or others, and we recognize this clearly with wisdom, then of course, with that wisdom of patient acceptance, or as we're going to look a little bit at love, with that, we can act if we need to. We can talk to someone about something. We can even, if someone's really reacting badly, we can do something physically, to stop them, pull them off someone or something. But we're doing it to help everyone, not because we want to hurt anyone, So outwardly we can act, but it's what we're holding inwardly that's important. What our quality of our mind is. This is what we want to be the best quality of our mind. Yeah. So another thing that Genla Dekion says that I love, she has these such gems. If you get a chance to hear Genla Dekion teach, or maybe you already have, she's so amazing, And she uses this gem as well. She says, if you want to stop having your buttons pressed, you need to get rid of your buttons. Isn't that great? It's like, oh, that person's always pressing my button. It's like, well, get rid of your buttons. And then they've got nothing. There's nothing, for them to press. There's nothing there. So we've got to get rid of what's in our mind that is giving rise to our irritation and our anger, And then we can go anywhere, do anything, and we're okay. Anyway, I'm getting all my little examples out here. It's love. Another example that I love, you probably have this in Liverpool as well. Definitely we had this in Manchester. Probably not so much where I am in Carlisle anymore, but I've only been there 5 days, so I'm sure I just haven't had the chance yet. But when you're walking down the street, I don't know what one of the main streets is in Liverpool, but the main street in Liverpool can be very busy. If it's a shopping area, very, very busy, you know. So sometimes maybe you're just in a rush, you know, you've got to get somewhere quick, you're late or whatever, you've got to get somewhere. Okay, so you start moving down the street, and then all of a sudden what pops up in front of you is someone walking slow. Yeah, someone just walking slow. And it feels like no matter how much you try to get past them, how close you get to them, you can't, because it's almost like they've got it in for you. You know, they're purposely walking slow to annoy me, to stop me getting where I need to go. So our mind will convince us that that's true. Actually, they are, because we make it all about us. It's all about me, isn't it? You know, they're walking slow to annoy me. They don't even care about us, to be honest. But our mind makes us the most important. It's about me. Because to be honest, they're not walking slow. They're walking at their speed. Just because it's not our speed doesn't make it slow. What makes it slow is the fact that I want to go at a different speed. So anyone who's not going at that speed is going too slow. And therefore I'm not getting what I want, and so I become unhappy. But they're just going at their speed, you know. So when we accept that, we relax. I think then what happens, because our world is created by our mind, I think what happens then is that we actually get past. They probably even suddenly look around and go, oh, did you want to get past? You know, when we lighten our mind up, our world changes. Everything changes, you know, when we get that space within our mind. So there you go. Next time you're walking down the busy street, wherever you are, and you can feel that mind that's wanting to get past someone, thinking they're walking too slow. They're doing it on purpose to annoy me. We think, not true. Not true. Yeah, I'm not listening to you because that's not true. You know, I'm just going to accept. I'm just going to accept. You know, this unpleasant feeling in my mind, I'm just going to accept, experience, and investigate and see actually my problem is that I'm not getting what I want, and I need to accept. Because to be honest, in this world, this painful often world, it's very rare to get what we want. It's very rare. And even when we do, we don't get it in the way we want it. Or, before long, we want something else, don't we? We're never satisfied. We never get to a point where we're like, oh, that's it. That's just what I wanted. I'm happy now. And that's it for the rest of our life. It's literally these days, especially for young people, it's like 5 minutes. You know, got what I wanted, right, what next? Okay, what next? What next, you know? So we tend to, then we think, well, the problem is technology, the problem is da-da-da. But actually, those things only exist, you know, like, I discovered this accidentally on Amazon, the Buy Now button. For some reason, I thought if I clicked the Buy Now button, I'd be given another option before I bought now. So I clicked it, and it said, thank you for your order. And I'm like, hang on. I thought I'd do something else first, but luckily you can cancel. But it's, we think it's that, but actually those things only exist because of our uncontrolled desire. It's because we have a mind that wants things and wants things now, that technology creates things for us to do that, you know. It's interesting, isn't it? So much, oh, when I was young, this is me, when I was young, you know, we had 3 channels on the television and we were happy. Rubbish. We had 3 channels on the television and we were so excited when Channel 4 appeared because we couldn't cope with another episode of whatever it was on there that's still going now, you know. But it felt like we weren't satisfied. We just didn't have so much choice. But because we wanted more choice, we got more choice, you know. And then as we got more choice, we wanted more choice, you know. And it just has kept going to where now we have hundreds, thousands of channels and still nothing on. Or there's too many things on and we can't stay with one thing, you know, anymore. So it's interesting, isn't it, to see how our mind works, you know. So this is why we need acceptance, you know, we definitely need acceptance in our daily life to practice it. So with patient acceptance, the second part that we've already started looking at that I want to talk about is again from how to solve our human problems. And it's the third type of patience, the patience of not retaliating. And a little bit we're going to look at thinking about others and how they feel, you know, their experience, you know, when they experience anger or when they're unhappy. We're going to look at this a little bit. You know. So we're trying to change our mind from negative states to positive states. We can say from non-virtuous to virtuous. You know, so we want to change the object from a non-virtuous object, an object that gives rise to suffering, to a virtuous object, an object that gives rise to peace and happiness. So do you remember I was talking about the art installation? We want to change, I don't want to say we want to change from the giraffe to the elephant, because neither of those are, but it's like changing our perspective from non-virtuous object, an object that is giving rise to suffering, to a virtuous object, an object that is giving rise to happiness. So we're just changing our perspective. So in How to Understand the Mind, which was this book, at the back there's a section on meditation and it says this, okay? Whether an object is virtuous or non-virtuous depends on our position, okay? Whether an object can be anything, so a person, whether an object is virtuous or non-virtuous depends on our position. For example, when our enemy harms us, so when someone harms us, they say something, do something, we don't, or they don't say something and don't do something. It could be anything really, can't it? You know, when our enemy harms us and we practice patience, our enemy is our virtuous object. So when someone says something we don't like, but we decide to practice patience, yeah, then they become, our enemy becomes our virtuous object, because it's leading us to experience peace and happiness, yeah, because we've been able to develop patience because that person said or did what they said or did. You know? Does that make sense? Is that making sense? Okay, so for example, when our enemy harms us and we practice patience, our enemy is our virtuous object, the object of our patience. So we're changing our perspective. But if instead we get angry with him or her, yeah, then he is our non-virtuous object, the object of our anger, giving rise to unhappiness, suffering. So our enemy, so that person that's difficult for us, if we change our perspective and we practice patience, they're our virtuous object, which is giving rise to peace and happiness. If we don't, and we become irritated and angry with them, our enemy is our non-virtuous object, the object of our anger and suffering. Yeah? So it's our choice. We have choice. We've got to make this shift. So people are going to be difficult. People are going to say and do things you don't want them to say and do, you know. But you have choice about what you focus on in terms of your perspective. Yeah. So it is our choice whether someone or something is our virtuous object or non-virtuous object. It's our choice whether someone is leading us to develop peace and happiness or leading us to develop suffering and unhappiness. It's our choice, not them. You know? And I know it feels like, oh, it's easier if it's them. But it isn't, is it? Because it's just familiarity with that bad habit of thinking that. But if we check, it's painful. And because of it, this world is, I don't know, I feel like I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it's going down the toilet, isn't it? It's like it's becoming more difficult. Things are becoming more difficult. People are fighting more. People are putting up walls instead of bridges, you know, boundaries because of this anger, because of our attachment to things, you know. So we can only start with ourselves, but just a little bit, changing, making this shift in our mind. Because I feel like I'm going off in another perspective now, but anyway, because we're making this shift in our mind, it will change our world. You know, this is what Buddha teaches. This is wisdom. If we change our mind, it will change our world, because our mind is the creator of our world. You know, when we have an angry mind, what appears is an angry world. You know, so when you're angry, everything's irritating, isn't it? Nothing goes right when we're angry. So an angry mind creates an angry world. We think there's a world out there that's worth being angry with, and that our anger is created by that world. But actually, it is the anger in our mind because of our uncontrolled desire that is creating our angry world, you know. So just that little bit thinking, it's like, oh, actually, yeah, I want to make this shift. I want to make this shift in my mind. Definitely make this shift in my mind. Yeah. So the second part, which I'm going to get to, I've literally got half an hour. I've not got much time, but the second part to get to is a little bit looking at developing a mind of compassion or a mind of love towards others, you know. So it says, how can we stop wanting to retaliate when someone harms us? How can we stop wanting to retaliate? So it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction, isn't it? Someone says something we don't like, react. You can talk, da-da-da-da, you know. It's just a knee-jerk reaction. So how do we stop? How do we stop retaliating when someone harms us? The best way to overcome our instinctive desire to retaliate is to combine patient acceptance with compassion. To think about the other person. So when someone says something that we don't like, when someone's angry with us, upset with us, you know, they're suffering, they're in pain, yeah? They're controlled by their delusions, their anger, you know, so they're in pain. So if we can start to see that, we won't want to cause them more pain, you know. But we don't see that because we're so focused on what's going on with us, me, what I'm experiencing. So delusions are completely merciless and benefit no one, least of all the people who fall under their control. So negative states of mind are merciless, you know. They benefit no one, they're not our friend. So when someone is under the control of their negative states of mind, you know, they're in pain. So wouldn't it be better to want to help them rather than harm them? But delusion doesn't want to help them, wants to harm them, but we've got to change that mind. Anger can so totally rob a person of his or her freedom of action that it is unreasonable for us to express hostility towards anyone under its sway. I love these words, you know. But even just thinking about that, so when you see someone angry, can think about this, you know. That person is so robbed, they're completely robbed of their freedom at that time. So maybe you're a bystander and you see someone angry with someone else. And often what we'll do is we get angry with the person who's angry and we're on the side of the person who's the victim. That's the normal way of doing it, isn't it? You know? But actually Buddha teaches we're all equal. And when someone is angry, they're under the control of their delusions. They're not in their right mind, because no one in their right mind would harm anyone else. So the correct response would be to not become angry with them, to actually develop compassion for them, to recognize they're out of control. Yeah. They're completely out of control. So in that way, we're caring about everyone in the situation, the person who's being shouted at and the person who's shouting, because both of them, you know, at that time are victims. You know, 'cause that person who's shouting is the victim of their anger, and they're creating incredible suffering for themselves. You know, and no one would choose to do that. So if we can see a person in this way, it changes everything, you know. So we start with our friends and family. Oh, I don't know. You can start with a character on the telly, because we do it, don't we? You know, you watch the television. We sit there, don't we, getting angry with someone on the television, you know. It's incredible. I was once crossing the street, and I heard this conversation between two people. And one of them was saying, and you're not going to believe what she said. And she said, da-da-da-da-da-da. And she said, no. And he said, da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh my goodness, no. And then he got like this and she got like that. And they were just like, you could see, so animated and getting irritated by how this person had acted towards this other person, and just really going for it, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Anyway, I was obviously listening in because we were walking across her. And then all of a sudden one of them said, and then she killed him. I was thinking, hang on a minute, that suddenly escalated. And then I realised they were talking about Coronation Street. And I thought, oh my goodness, they just built up all this anger in their mind about a character on a television program. Horrendous, you know. So we do it all the time. So even if that's our level, it's like when I'm watching the television, I'm going to, you know, try not to, you know, develop these minds. You know, but then we try with people around us. If we use every opportunity that arises in our daily life to train our mind in the following methods for controlling our anger, our patience will gradually improve. Okay? So we want to develop patience and compassion. Okay? So I'm just going to use, because of time, we're just going to look at a couple of examples. So when we are harmed by another person, we should examine whether it is their essential nature to be harmful or whether it's a temporary fault. So we need to use reasonings to change how we react to things. Yeah? Is this okay? Is this all sounding okay? It's like we need to use these reasonings to see what's going on. So we should check, when we're harmed by another person, examine whether it is his or her essential nature to be harmful or whether this is just a temporary fault. Okay? So if it were true that being harmful was the very nature of this person, it's just what they do, they just are a harmful person, yeah, there would really be no reason to become angry with them. If they just are like that, why become angry? We do not blame fire when we are burned because we know it is the nature of fire to burn. We do, don't we? So if you're burnt by fire, you don't go at the fire, because we know if we put our hand near a fire, our hand will be burnt, because that's what fire does. So if it is the essential nature of this person to be harmful, there's nothing they can do about it. So why get angry with them? Probably just stay away, like you would with fire. You know, if it's their essential nature, you can't do anything. You know, it's just how they are. Okay. On the other hand, if the harmfulness of our aggressor is only a temporary fault, just temporary, arising in response to changing circumstances, there is also no reason for us to become angry with them. When too much rain falls from the sky, rained a bit today, we do not become angry with the sky, because we realize that rain is not part of its essential nature. Rain falls from the sky only as a result of temporary circumstances such as temperature, humidity, and air pressure. Okay? So that's that. So these two parts, you know, if it's their essential nature, then just like fire, they will burn, they will hurt. So there's no point getting angry with them, because it's just what they do. If it's just a temporary fault, again, no point getting angry with them, because actually it's just arising due to changing circumstances. Just as it is that we don't blame the sky when it rains, because we know the rain just simply comes because of those different circumstances, temperature, you know. So therefore, if the harmfulness of our aggressor is not part of his essential nature, whose fault is it that he harms us? It's not part of their essential nature. So what is it that's causing them to harm us? It is the fault of his delusions. The delusions in the mind of the person are what are giving rise to their behavior. So here's my favorite little analogy. I love this. It says, let us imagine that an angry man picks up a stick and hits us with it. Okay? Imagine an angry man picks up a stick and hits us with it. Okay? Surely it is right to get angry with this man. After all, he's harmed us. True? That's true, isn't it? Someone picks up a stick and hits you with it, you get angry with the person who hit you with the stick, okay? Now, suppose a friend tries to restrain us by saying, don't get angry with the man, get angry with the stick. It's the stick that was the immediate cause of your pain. I know, I love this, but it's just like, so this man's hit us with the stick, We want to get angry with the man, but our friend says, no, don't get angry with the man, get angry with the stick. It was the stick that caused your immediate pain. Okay, what would your reaction be? No. It would be no. No, it's the man that hit me with the stick, you know, but he's to blame, not the stick. That's what we think, wouldn't it? It's like, it's the stick, okay? Not the stick, it's the man, okay? So we would almost certainly retort, the stick didn't hit me by itself. Without the man who wielded it, it would have no power to hurt me. It's the man I should be angry with. Now we all agree with that. It's like, yep, that is correct. When I was reading it, you probably think, oh, hang on, there's something here that I've got to, but it's actually, no, actually it agrees with me. That's what I think. So then, if this line of reasoning keeps us from getting angry at the stick, we should apply it to the man as well. The same reasoning to the man. The man was manipulated by his anger in exactly the same way that the stick was manipulated by the man. With scarcely any control over his mind, he was at the mercy of his delusions. Therefore, if being harmed is going to provoke anger in us at all, we should direct our wrath against the actual cause of our pain, the delusion of anger itself. So that's not actually anger, because it's a delusion we're focused on. It's interesting, isn't it? So the stick was manipulated by the man, but the man was manipulated by anger in his mind. No control. Therefore, what's to blame for the man hitting us with the stick? Anger in the man's mind. Therefore, we can have compassion for the man because he had no control. He was out of control. Maybe take some work, but if we keep looking at this and thinking about it, we start to see this is true. People are suffering because of their anger in their mind. You know, they're out of control. So of course it doesn't mean that if someone is acting in a harmful way, you know, say for example, if someone did hit us with a stick out of anger, doesn't mean we just stand there and go, oh, they're in so much suffering because of the anger in their mind. We hold compassion and patience in our mind, and then we stop them. We stop them, you know. We do something outwardly to stop them hitting us with the stick, you know, because we don't want their anger to be in control of them. So out of compassion, we want to help them. We want to stop, you know, their anger. So patience, especially with compassion, very powerful mind. You know, it's not a weak mind. It's actually a real strength. You know, I like to put it this way. So I like to think of it as we need to practice love and patience. You know, now if you're as old as me, do you remember that? Well, vinyls are back, aren't they? We didn't call them vinyls, but we used to call them LPs. Do you remember LPs? We used to call them, you know, you had singles, 45s, and LPs, yeah? So I always think of it as like that LP, love and patience. They're the two minds that we need in this world, love and patience, you know? If we have those two minds in this world, before we know it, we have world peace. And world peace is enlightenment, a Buddha's enlightenment, you know. If we have love and patience, you know, if those minds are perfected, you know, then we're enlightened, which means we're a Buddha, someone who's just permanently free from suffering and has supreme permanent inner peace. So for me, it's just like love and patience, love and patience. You know, I got to Carlisle on Sunday and I got to my room and there's a little whiteboard in my room. I was very excited. Got to write something on my whiteboard. And I immediately wrote, Love is the great protector. So this is Venerable Geshe-la's words. Love is the great protector. And then the next day I went on Facebook and it popped up from a centre, our centre in Dublin. They'd put on Love is the great protector. It's just like it is. If we have a loving heart, it protects us. And I think that love comes from patience as well. Love and patience, you know. So never think you cannot develop these qualities of mind. It is our true nature. It's just the delusions, the dirt of the delusions in our mind has just become a deeply ingrained bad habit. But if we start, we can very quickly turn it around. And we're not separate from each other. We're all interconnected in a web of kindness, you know. We're just like, I love this, like a cell in the vast body of life. We're all interconnected. So if we start changing our mind, we start changing our world, and everything starts to change, you know. Anyway, we need to do some meditation. I wanted to tell you one last thing, but when there was the bomb in Manchester in 2000, and can't remember. I can't remember what year it was, but anyway, when there was the bomb in Manchester, we had a centre. Our city centre space was in the middle of the city, and we had a class that night. And we were the other side of the city, but some of the people at that class had to go through Victoria at that time. And I got home that night. I got home and then found out what had happened. So the next night they held an event in Albert Square, and I went along. And I had to get back to class, so I thought, I need to stand near the back. I need to be near the back of the crowd. So I positioned myself at what I thought was the back of the crowd. And all I'm going to say is that it was all about don't look back in anger and a mind of love. Be kind. Just choose love, choose love. And it was the most palpable, incredible feeling in that square that evening. In just this feeling that everyone had this just really strong mind of love, determined not to allow anger, you know, to develop. And then that, I can't remember his name, but he read the poem that he'd written, this man. It was incredible. Everyone, the police would try and go through the crowd. Everyone's like, make space, let the police through. Da, da, da. Everyone was just caring about each other. Anyway, I suddenly realised I had to go because I had to get to a class. I turned around to go. My goodness, I was nowhere near the back. It was just incredible. And just that feeling at that time, I think at that time, and I'm sure it's happened here as well, an incredible cause was created for this world to live in peace and love and patience, you know. So please do not look at the news. Look at what is appearing and think it's true. Not true. Not true. So that doesn't mean it's not happening. It is happening as it's appearing. But don't believe that is the world. Use it to develop compassion, to develop love, patience, and recognize I'm going to do something different. I'm not going that way. Not true. I'm going to have a loving heart towards the person in front of me, you know, even if they don't appear to have a loving heart towards me, because we're connected. I'm just going to see beyond the dirt of their delusions, and I'm just going to love them. Sometimes that might mean I need to say or do things they're not going to like, but I just want to love them, you know. Anyway, let's do some final meditation, and let's just develop a mind of love and patience, and just be determined to carry this. So I'm just going to guide us in a simple meditation. So we can just spend a few moments settling our mind. So I'd like you to bring to mind all living beings, every single person in Liverpool, in the UK, the whole world. Just put your thoughts with them. All these living beings who, just like you, just want to be happy and free from suffering. All these people who have no choice because of delusions in their mind, who are controlled by their negative states of mind. How wonderful if all of us could abide with love and patience, cherishing and accepting each other. Really wish in your heart, your friends, your family, community, that everyone could abide in love and patience. And find peace and happiness. So hold in your heart this wish for world peace. We can think, may everyone be happy. May everyone be free from suffering. we can direct the positive energy from our morning to world peace. And we can carry into our day our own determination to practice love and patience when difficult people appear in our life. Then we can come out of meditation and open our eyes. It's time to finish. I've had such a lovely time. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you feel like you've found something that you can put into practice, or it's helped in some way. So do hold that as you leave. And obviously, everything that you come to here, every class, every activity, is about identifying, reducing and abandoning those negative states of mind that give rise to your suffering, and developing and maintaining the positive qualities of mind that will give rise to your happiness, But we have to keep doing it. We can't just do it once and think, oh, that was good, that's all I needed, because we have a strong habit of following negative states of mind. We've got to keep doing it. So, do look, I would say, and encourage, we do what we want, but do look at the leaflet with the courses and activities, and come to what you can. So the centre and all of the centres around the country and the world provide different activities so that someone can find something that they're able to do and connect with. So do find something and enjoy. So I'm going to go and get my jacket on, but I will be around afterwards, so please, if you have any questions or anything you want to say, then I'll see you in the cafe area. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone. From my heart, thank you for coming. Lovely to see you. So safe journey home.